So we're going to be talking about using your Android smartphone, and it's always interesting to me. One of the great things about Android is it's a lot of customization you can do to it, and that's the good news. The bad news is you can do a lot of customizations and things. We start to lose things, and we don't understand how this thing works. And so the beautiful thing is you can customize it. Unlike an iPhone, it doesn't give you a lot of those customizations. So it's a little bit more open architecture, and that does bring on a little bit of confusion. So hopefully we're going to try to make some sense out of this today, I hope, or I might confuse you more. So we're going to be going over how to navigate the smartphone, how to get into some of the settings, and how to find things on your phone that are really, really important to you. We won't be able to get into everything today. This is a 3-part series, and there's a lot you can do with these phones. We could probably teach a class every day for a month and still never figure out everything. And every time I pick up one of these phones for myself, I probably have had literally in my lifetime about 1,000 phones. And every time I pick up one of these Android phones, I learn something new. I mean, there's just like, wow, I didn't see that one. And so there is something always to learn here. And if you feel lost, well, you're not alone. Everybody else does too. So that's why we have this class. So I always think it's interesting and helps me teach the class to just kind of go around whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to unmute yourself or use the chat, and just let me know the brand of the phone you have. I'm assuming we've got some Samsung phones here. I don't know if we have any LG phones here, or OnePlus or Motorola or Pixel phones, or TCL.
I have a
or
Samsung.
What's that,
I have a
Cheryl?
Samsung.
Samsung.
I have a
Okay.
Motorola
Motorola. Okay, we got a Motorola. Awesome.
Z3.
Any other? We got a Motorola, a Samsung. Anybody else have any other brands? Okay. I'm assuming most people have Samsung phones. They seem to be the predominant leader in this area, but we do have some Motorola. I use a Pixel phone on a daily basis. Today, I'll be using a Samsung phone to kind of go over some of these things, what we'll be talking about. If anybody has an LG phone and you haven't spoken up, the LG phone, if you know of anybody has LG, they stopped manufacturing phones. They'll only support them for another 1.5 or 2 years with software. But beyond that, you may want to take your phone into your service provider or let your friend or family know, and they'll probably upgrade you to another phone. But they stopped making it. They were very popular for a long time. So, all right. So let's just talk about some of the basic things about the phone. Most of you know where these things are on the phone. We first had we had these, they called them candy bar phones. Then they went to a flip phone, and now we have a candy bar phone, and now the flip phones are coming popular again. So it's whatever you like. Some people like the flip phones, some people don't, and it's just a preference. So it's funny, what goes around comes around, that's for sure. So if you look at the left side of your phone, this is the phone as we're looking at it. Most of this is probably standard on most phones. You've got your cameras on the front and the top, either on the left side or in the center. You've got speakers on top and the bottom. You've got a touch screen. Usually in the touch screen, you might have your security, your fingerprint reader. You also have your volume key on the right side or the left side of the phone, with your power button on, usually on the top, on the side of the phone. And most phones do not have an earphone jack any longer. They expect you to go out and buy a Bluetooth headset or something like that to plug into the phone. Unfortunately, that's a big loss for a lot of people. There's no doubt about that. There are some sensors that are built into the phone. There's a proximity sensor, which is in the earpiece. So when you hold the phone up to your ear, the screen will actually go off. And the reason it goes off is because the longer that screen is on, the more battery it's using. So if you want to know what is using your battery most of the time, it is actually the screen on. And so if you hold it up to your ear, it's actually saving the battery. On the back of the phone, it's pretty standard. Some of us have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras on the back. It gets more and more confusing each time. You've got the antenna. You used to have that retractable antenna. You don't have that anymore. It's actually built into the side of the phone. And there's several other antennas that are built into the phone. One of them you see down here is called NFC. That's near field communications. It's actually a technology that's been around for a long time. That is the technology that lets your phone correspond or communicate to a transaction terminal that you might have in a retail store, you know, like those Verifone things where you slide your cards through, where you can actually use your phone now to pay at the retail store. And they use this particular antenna, the near field communication antenna. So a little bit of trivia there for you. So any questions on that? That's just the basics of the phone. Most of you know where things are, but I thought it'd be good for just kind of get a lay of the land here. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about navigating your phone. And I am going to switch my phone or switch my screen over to the live phone so we can go through this together because you'll probably have a lot of questions. So I'm going to switch over here and I've got my phone connected to the actual computer that is actually going over Zoom. So hopefully you can see my screen. Can everybody see the phone? Okay, good, 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 good. So what I do when I communicate with the phone is get into the settings. And you only go into the settings every now and then. But when these phones are beeping at you and they're vibrating and you look at the phone and go, I don't know what's going on with this thing. What's happening? Somebody's trying to reach me or the phone's doing something weird and I don't know what it is. What I do is I go up here to the very top of the screen, right here where this little white hand is, right here in the center. And I just gently, if you want to use your finger or you use a rubber tip stylus, those little pins with the rubber on it, you can just slide your finger gently down and pull it down like you're pulling down a window shade. So I go up here to the center where that hand is and I just pull it down and that gets me into my notifications. Right here are my notifications. These are things that are alerting me on the phone. For instance, I missed a phone call or I had a text message or something's beeping at you. This is where it's going to tell you where it's at. This is my notification window. So again, I can get rid of this as I just pull it up here or push it up here and I pull it down here. And if I pull it down farther, I'm going to go about right here and I'm going to pull it down even farther. This gets me into my settings. Now, some of you, let me get rid of this window. Some of you may have your settings icon on your screen somewhere. This is my home screen. Yeah. Your home screen looks completely different than mine. And if you all held up your phone to the screen, everybody's home screen would look completely different. And that's okay. There you go, Cheryl. Yep, they all look different. And so if you have the sprocket here, this little gear, you can get into settings this way. Or what I like to do is just go right up here and pull down that window shade, and pull it down again. And this gets me into my settings. These settings right here are the things that I use most frequently. For instance, I like to use the flashlight. So that's one of my first things I use. I use Wi-Fi. That's my Wi-Fi connection, maybe in a house or my doctor's office or grocery store or library. This is my Wi-Fi connection. That's something that works inside of a building, a certain area. Most of the time I use cellular when I'm out and about. I do adjust my sound frequently and I do have some Bluetooth devices. Bluetooth is used for earpieces, maybe connecting to, some of you have it connected to your hearing aids. Some of us use Bluetooth to connect to your car. If you're driving and you want to connect your phone to your car, you can use it that way. Auto rotate, that's where the screen is. If I have it vertical or I turn it horizontal, it will change. Some of you like to have that on, some of you like to have it off. So you can turn that on or off. Airplane mode, I don't use very often. I'm not on a plane as much as I used to, but you can adjust the order of these in the area that you want. So for instance, right here, these are the basic ones, and there's a little dot here at the bottom, and that tells me there's another page. So I'm going to swipe from right to left on my screen, and that gives me more settings. These are ones I don't really use very often, okay? If I want to adjust that, I can adjust these. So I could go to the three dots right here on the right side. And if I click on those three dots, it says, oh, do you want to reorder these? And I can reorder them in any fashion. And all I do is I hold them down and drag them to different places. So for instance, if I want to change the order, I can just hold down this flashlight one and drag it to wherever I want. But I want to put it back to where it was, and I'm just going to drop it there. So you can reorder these in the area that you want to the most frequently. Okay, any questions on that? It's a little bit confusing at first. Okay, so I'm going to say done. And and also at the bottom of my screen, now it's going to look a little bit different between phones. So if you have a Samsung phone, it's not the same on exactly every model of a Samsung phone. Some of you might have an S21 or an S22, and some of you might have an A10 or an A12 or an S9 or whatever. It does vary between Samsung to Samsung. Motorola is a little bit different as well, but this is generally the Android operating system that's made by Google. It's pretty much consistent, but there are some tweaks that each manufacturer puts in on the phone. So at the bottom of the phone, I have, go ahead.
But it's basically the same. And like you said, just little tweaks. Because I have a Samsung, but it's a S20, but it's still, I can still follow what you're saying.
Okay, good. Good to know. Thank you, Mary.
It's easy for me to follow you.
Okay, good. Good. I haven't lost you yet, but I will. I'm sure I will. So
if
I do, grab me back.
I hope not, because I play with my phone a lot.
Okay, good. So if you go down to the bottom of the screen, that's my brightness. If I want to drag my finger down, I can actually make it dark. Well, you don't see it on the screen. It's not adjusting as much, but I can adjust the brightness on my screen. Okay. I like to keep it bright, especially during this time. But what I want to get into right here is this gear in the top right corner. And you can get through that through the settings. If you have the settings app on your phone. And again, I'm going to go back out of here and I'm going to go up here to the very top again, where my little finger is in the top center. And I'm just going to gently pull down that window shade. And I'm going to pull it down again. And I want to get to this gear right here. And I'm going to click on that gear. And it comes into my settings. Now, just to let you know, maybe Mary plays around with these things all the time because she plays with her phone. But settings you don't go to very frequently. You probably do it when you first get your phone and maybe a couple tweaks here and there, but really, we don't get into it. And there are literally thousands of settings, literally thousands. I mean, it could go on all day. And the newer the phone, the more the confusion of the phone and the more settings. But there are some settings in there that are really, really helpful. For instance, let's go into, let me just look here real quickly. Let's get into the naming your phone. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Let me go back to my screen here, my home screen. I'm going to hit my home button. Is I can go and name my phone in the lock mode. So I'm going to turn my screen off. It's going to go to sleep. And how you turn your screen off is you just tap the power button on the side of your phone. You just tap it. Now, for instance, when you go into a room at night and it's nighttime and it's dark, what do? You turn the light switch on, right? When you want to look at your phone, what do? You can tap your power button, just tap it, and the screen goes on. Well, when you leave that room, what are you supposed to do? Most of us don't do it, but what you're supposed to do is turn the light off, right? To save the battery or save the electricity bill, right? Well, with your phone, it's the same thing. The longer that screen's on, the more battery you're going to use. So for instance, some of you look at your phone and you lay it down on the table, you throw it in your purse and the screen is on for 5, 10, 20 minutes, right? It's eating up your battery. So you spend most of your day chasing around looking for a phone charger. When you're done looking at the screen, tap the power button, turn the light switch off. All right. Got that? So when you want to look at the phone, tap the power button. When you're done looking at the phone, tap the power button, the light switch goes off and it will save your battery. Okay. So I'm going to tap my power button and you can see right here, I have named the phone. I've given a message. You can put any message on the front of your screen. Why is this important? Well, most of you think, well, I don't leave my home very often and I don't need to put any messages. I'm not going to lose the phone. Well, occasionally you might go to the doctor's office, you might go to the library, you might go to a grocery store, you might go somewhere, or a movie or what have you, and you may lose your phone. And losing a phone is pretty traumatic for anybody at any age. And so I want to personalize the phone, and let's go do that. I'm going to unlock it here. And I'm going to go into settings. I can get into settings through the app that some of you may have settings, or I'm going to pull down the screen from up here, that my window shade. And I'm going to go into that gear right here in the right corner. Some people say it looks like a daisy, but it's a gear. And I don't remember the name of how do I adjust that, but I'm going to say, you can do it along with me if you want, if you have your phone nearby or your tablet. And I'm going to tap on it. Well, I have it lock screen, so I'm going to type in lock screen here. And I'm going to go through here. And I think it's this contact information right here. Yeah, lock screen, contact information. Might be a little bit different on your phone. But again, I found that by doing a search. And I typed in the word lock screen. So we can do this together. And I'm going to tap on contact information. And it comes down here and it says contact information right here. And it says my name. Well, this is where you could put a phone number. You wouldn't want to put your phone number of your phone, but let's say you leave your phone somewhere. Well, who do you want it to call? Maybe you want to call your home number or put an email address in there. Or maybe it's a spouse or a family member or a neighbor. So if somebody recovers your phone, they'll call and say, hey, I've got this phone here. I called because this is somebody's phone. Or maybe you're a diabetic, or maybe you take heart medicine and you want to put a message in there and say, you know, I'm a type 1 diabetic and my medicine's in my purse. You can put a fairly extensive message on here. So if somebody finds you in your phone, it'll say it right on the lock screen, you know, who to reach or what medicine I need or what the phone number or email address is. And we can customize that. And you could just type in any message you want. So let me run through that one again. All right. For somebody, I'm going to go back to my home screen. And again, I can get into settings here. So I'll just click on settings. I can do it that way. I'm going to go to my little search here, my little Sherlock Holmes looking glass here. I'm going to type on that, click on that. And I'm going to type in the word lock screen, like it says here. In my case, I'm just going to tap on it. And I'm going to scroll down to where it says contact information. And I'm going to go down here and I can type in a new message, any message you want. It's going to be different for your phone. Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Please.
I did the lock screen with a previous class that you had. And
Yes.
on my screen, I put call and the phone number if lost.
Okay, good.
Well, we have since moved, so that phone number is no good. And I couldn't figure out how to get back to that screen to change that number to the new home number.
Okay.
So I'm following the steps you have here, but what comes up on mine is different. So I'm thinking that under lock screen wallpaper services is where I might find my contact information, because I don't have contact information.
Yeah, it's probably under
on
lock
my
screen. Mary, it
So
might be
that's
under lock
correct?
screen.
Yeah. That's correct. Okay.
Yeah, play around with that one. You know, the one thing I'd have to tell you about these phones, and Mary, it sounds like she's a piddler and toodles around on her phone pretty frequently. That's kind of the best way you need to learn how to use these phones. Most of us want to throw these things out the window, but it's kind of the way of the world to use these phones because they are so important to us. It's literally having a computer in your hand. And so we're all attached to these things. So you can't break these things. You just can't break them. They're pretty indestructible as far as messing around with the software. And so you need to tool around with them to play with things and see if you can, do some weird things, but you're not going to, you're not going to wreck the phone. So play around with it. Feel free. Nobody's going to yell
Now
at you
I
when you're
can't
playing with
find
it.
it.
Okay.
I can't find it.
Maybe if we have some time after class, Mary, I'll spend a few minutes and we'll see if we can find it. But it is really important to have a message on your screen, especially some of you that are mobile and out and about pretty frequently. Anybody else have any questions on that? And again, you can put as long as, I think you can put up as 3 sentences on here. It depends on the phone or manufacturer. Okay. So I'm going to go back out of there. And one of the other areas I wanted to mention to you, Mary, you might want to do a search in your settings and call it contact information. Just type in the word contact information like you see here and see if it comes up that way. So it might not be the same on everybody's phone. There's another thing in here called screen timeout. Now this thing might drive everybody crazy. You look at your screen and it times out in 30 seconds or 5 minutes or, and it drives it crazy. So I am going to go into search again. I'm in settings and I'm searching and I just type in the word screen timeout. So I'm going to click on that one. So it's already here and I'm going to click on the words here. I just tap on it and it scrolls down here to screen timeout right here. And mine is 30 minutes.
Wow.
Some of you may want to adjust this to something that's more reasonable. 3 minutes is good, 5 minutes is good. It depends on your phone, your phone manufacturer, but it's different. But again, like I said, I don't really worry about this on my main phone because every time I look at my phone and I'm done looking at it, I tap the power button so I don't have to worry about the screen going back on. So, but if it's bumped up against in my briefcase or my pocket, I know it's automatically going to go off in like 3 minutes. I think that's what I have is 3 minutes. So as long as you're using the phone and you're looking at the phone, the screen will stay on. But when you're done with it and you lay it down on the table or throw it in your purse or whatever, then just tap the power button and you'll save the battery. Okay. Any questions or comments on the screen timeout?
I found it, the contact information, and changed it.
Great.
Thank
Can you
you.
do that again?
What's that?
Can you do that again, the screen timeout?
I can. So
Thank you.
I'm back at my home screen. And again, I can pull things down from the top of the window shade if you want, or if I have the settings here, I'm just going to go to settings. I'm going to click on settings. I'm going to go to my little Sherlock Holmes looking glass here, my little spy glass. I'm going to tap on that. And I've already had it written out because I've used this before, but it's screen timeout. So I'm going to tap on screen timeout. And I'm going to just tap on that word screen timeout. And I'm going to scroll down here to where it says screen timeout. And there it is. And again, your time's going to look a little bit different. Some people will go off in 5 seconds. Sometimes it'll go off in 20 minutes. So it's different from each phone. Okay. That help? Okay.
A quicker
Mine
way
is
for
different.
me was to do the little wheel, go to settings, and then go to my, what did I go to? Display, I think it is. And under
Okay, yeah,
display,
display.
you
That's,
have screen
Yep.
timeout.
and that's a really great point, Mary, that you bring up. There's no one specific way to get to things in your settings.
Right.
There's multiple ways. There's usually 3 or 4 different ways to get to things. So when I tell you screen timeout on your phone, there might be 3 or 4 other ways to do it.
Right.
Like I said,
I
that's a
found,
beautiful
I
thing.
found that by just, like I said, I play with the phone.
Yeah.
So your way was new to me, but this is the way I got to mine.
Okay.
So it
yep,
may help
absolutely.
someone else. It may
Yep.
help someone else.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions here in the 2 things I've shown you in settings? There's one other thing I want to show you in settings, and I'm just going to go over this with you, and you can raise your hand or not. There's something that these phones, especially the newer phones, have that's built into all of them, which is really a great tool. I have a mother that lives nearby and she's 92. Her hearing is not good, you can imagine. And so I turned something on called screen caption. And caption is just like when you in the movies or a TV show and you've got the little captions running around on the bottom of your phone or the TV, the screen, or at the movies. Well, you can turn that on your phone. And so what it will do is translate what somebody is saying. So you'll be able to hear them if you can hear very well, but you can also, it will translate it into words on your screen. And this worked out really well. So for instance, she was over at my house recently and we had to call, she had a new credit card and you got to call the bank and you got to say, is this really you? And who are you? And you got to go through all this. And they have to read you this long, laborious thing. You go, do you agree or disagree? Or like, what's your choice? You got to agree because you won't get to use the credit card. And so he gets down to the end, the guy who's reading about the credit card and says, do you agree? And I said, yes. Well, and then about 5 seconds later, my mother goes, yes. And I realized that she was actually reading her screen. And that's, there was only a short delay, a very minuscule delay. So I can show you how to do it and turn it on or off. Some of you might say, well, that's a little, laborious, but it's actually really helpful. And occasionally we're in an area where it is loud and it's hard to hear, or maybe we just don't hear very well and it might be helpful. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quickly. And again, I'm in that sprocket. I'll go back to the home screen. I'm going to hit the gear down here. I can do it that way. And I'm going to go up to my looking glass here, my little Sherlock Holmes, and I'm going to type in the word caption. I think it'll show up there. I'm not sure. I don't know if this phone has it. It might not. This is an older phone. I don't think this phone has it. My other phone has it, and I do use that. This is an older phone, so it doesn't have it. But you should be able to type in the word caption, CAPTION, and you can turn that on or off. And you might want to just try it. And yeah, I can't show you on this phone because it's an older phone, and I only use this for demonstration purposes. Let me just look here. Oh, maybe there's something here called hearing enhancement. Yeah, most of these you can adjust for hearing aids. So if some of you do use hearing aids, you can adjust that as well. They have something here called, I didn't see this one before, Samsung subtitles or Google subtitles, which CC stands for closed caption. So I'm going to turn that on. And I might, if you have hearing aids, you can also adjust them here as well. So when I'm on the phone, again, it will scroll and show me a screen caption. It will actually show me in real time what somebody's saying. So that might be helpful for some of you. I know it helps me on some occasions, especially if I'm in a noisy environment. All right. So I'm going to go back to the home screen here. So can anybody tell me, if you lost your phone today or tomorrow, what would be the most frustrating thing for you that you would have lost? Anybody want to just shout out? Like if you lost your phone, what would be the most important thing you would lose?
All my contact information.
Okay.
Some of my contact.
Okay. It's some I don't really care.
Well, see, some of them I still do manually.
Okay, got it. So contact information, anything else? All
I'm
right.
sure some
Birth
people will
dates.
miss their cameras. I mean, their pictures, but I don't
Pictures.
do pictures. So yeah.
Okay, all right.
I use all of
So-
that, but I have everything backed up in the cloud, so.
There you go, Cheryl. That's a great point. That's what I was going to say. So with an Android phone, you have a Google account. You have a Gmail account or something, but it's attached to Google. And so you have a username and password. So for instance, like Linda, you mentioned contacts, or some of the other folks are probably thinking that as well. Well, you don't lose it because it's all stored in the cloud. It's all stored on Google server out in the middle of who knows where. And so when you get a new phone or you upgrade your phone or whatever the case may be, you put in your username and password, and guess what comes right down into your phone is your contact information or your calendar information.
It's
And so
already
that-
stored up there, or you have
It's
to
already
tell it to
stored.
be stored?
No, it's already doing it
Automatically
because it's
stored.
attached to,
Okay.
it's already attached to your Google account. Okay. So one of the things that I have stored on my phone is, well, let me back up here before I jump into this. Most of you know what the Play Store is right here. The Play Store, that little flag here. The Play Store is what you get your apps. That's where you can get books, music, you can get all sorts of stuff in there. And I am going to go click on apps down here at the bottom. And I'm going to click on apps. It's going to take me over to apps, and then it tells you what the hot apps are and all that. But I can search for apps here as well. And to update your apps, most apps will update on their own because this is software. It's constantly changing, good or bad, but they're trying to get certain bugs out and security things. And so what you do is some of you may have a picture of yourself in the top right corner, or it may have your initials. You know, if it's Cheryl, it might say CM, or it might have a picture of Cheryl, for instance. So I'm going to tap on this circle here, which is my face. And it's going to come up here and say, okay, what do you want to do here, Lee? Well, I want to manage my apps and device. So I'm going to click on that. And I can click on all apps right here. Don't worry, you're not going to break anything. And this is where I can check for it to see if any apps are updated. Now, some of you may go in this and say, gosh, there's 20 apps that need updating. Well, don't do it now. Do it when we're done with class because it does take a while. Okay. One of the things about Android, there's several things I don't understand, but it's supposed to update the apps automatically, but on some occasions it doesn't. So you may want to update that. So let me just show you how I did that again. I'm going to go to my home screen. I'm going to go to the Play Store right here. Most of you know where that is. And I'm just going to back out of here. And I'm going to click on my face in the top right corner. And I'm going to go down to Manage Apps. That's pretty self-explanatory, Manage Apps. Also, let me show you something else here before I jump into something. There's Manage Apps, which you can go into Update App. But you may want to go in here and check your subscriptions. Occasionally over time, you might have tapped on something and you go, what was it? Why am I getting charged $2? Or why did someone charge me $5 or $10? You may want to go into subscriptions and see if you tapped on something that you don't want to subscribe to. It might be an app, or maybe it's a magazine or something. And you may not want to, you may want to turn that off. You might have accidentally tapped on something. They're always trying to get you to buy something. Kind of the way of the world. But so I'm going to go into Manage Apps, tap on that, and I'm going to click over, or I'm going to click right here, all apps, and I can check for updates right here. Okay, and some of you may need to update quite a few apps. All right. Any questions on the Play Store? All right. Again, this is where you get your apps. This is where you can update your apps. This is where you can manage your Google account as well. But I have an app on my phone. I'll take it back out of here, and it's called Photos, Google Photos. If you have a Samsung phone, all Samsung phones have Google Photos now. The nice thing about Photos is all those photos sync with my phone, and all those pictures and videos are all stored out in the cloud. So I know for me and most people, if you lose your phone, the most valuable thing to you on your phone are your photos. Unlike Linda, who doesn't take pictures, but if you lose your photos, you can't recreate history. I can recreate a contact or a calendar, but I can't recreate a history, a picture or a video. So the nice thing about Google Photos is it's stored out in the cloud. If I lose my phone, I update my phone, I click on all my apps come back onto my new phone or my new device, or I updated my device. All those pictures are available. And the nice thing is those pictures aren't stored on my phone, and photos and videos take up the most amount of memory on your device. And so having Google Photos, it's stored in the cloud and it's not taking up any memory on my phone. Okay. So how did I get Google Photos? If you don't have it, you can just go to the Play Store right here. I'm going to click on the Play Store. I'm going to go to the search bar, just like on our settings. I can dictate what I'm looking for, or I can type in the word photos. I'm going to hit enter, and there's lots of different apps, but the one I'm looking for is right here. Kind of looks like the NBC Peacock in a way. And I'm going to click on the Google Photos. And if it's stored on your phone, it's going to say open. If it's not on your phone, you didn't download it, it is a free app. I can just say install. All right. Now, it used to be that you could store as many videos and pictures on there as you want, but they only give you 15 gigabytes of memory a year. And then they charge you. It's a very minimal charge. It could be $2 or $3 a year for more memory, but 15 gigabytes of pictures is a lot. That's a lot of pictures. Not as many videos, but a lot of pictures. Videos take up a lot because you've got audio and video. Okay, so I'm going to open this. And I've only got a few pictures stored on this device. But again, the photos, I'm accessing the photos, but they're actually stored on the cloud. So again, they're really not even stored on the phone. But this is a really, really powerful tool, this Photos app. I can look at all my photos this way. It labels them by date and time. I love the search capability down here because I can click on search and I can search by people's faces, places, animals, things, whatever I want. And so for instance, if I click on my son's picture here, it will go through all my videos and all my pictures and go find every picture where he is all the way back into time. So it's really kind of a fun thing to do if you're searching for specific things or places or animals or places you've been. You might say, well, I was in San Francisco, but I can't remember when. And you type in the word San Francisco up here and it will bring all your pictures up from San Francisco if you were there. And
You know,
took
that's
pictures.
what I like about photos and what I've done. I've gone in and I've added people's names under their pictures. So I can just type their name in and it pulls up all their pictures. The vacations we've gone on, I put in where we've been. And then what I've done is I've downloaded the best pictures and had them printed and made photo albums.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great way to use it. But the reason I really show people photos is because it backs up. I had a friend of mine that called me up one Friday night and said, Lee, my phone keeps giving me a memory thing and saying I'm running out of memory. If you know people with iPhones, they always upgraded their iPhones because they need more memory because they've taken so many pictures. But if you have Google Photos, you don't have to pay for that. So that's a really nice thing. And she called me up one Friday night and said, Lee, my phone's got 128 gigabytes of memory, which is as most computers. But it's at 126 and saying I'm running out of memory. And she was a photo fanatic. I mean, she took pictures of everything, literally everything. And I said, well, do you have Google Photos? She said, no. I said, well, go to the App Store, download it. She had an Android phone. She downloaded it. And what she did is she went up to sync. And so I'm going to go over here, right up here and click on my face again on the top right corner. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say free up space. And this is what she did. So she said, I'm going to free up my space. I'm going to take all my pictures from my phone and I'm going to upload them into Google and store them in Google Photos up in the cloud. All right. So that was at like, I don't know, 8:30 at night. She calls me the next morning, 11:30 in the morning and said, Lee, you won't believe this. I go, well, what? She goes, well, it uploaded all my pictures. I go, well, how much memory do you have on your phone that's free now? She says, I have 124 gigabytes of memory that's free now. She said, the phone works like it's brand new again. And she doesn't have to worry about her pictures being lost. They're all stored out in the cloud. So again, she has to pay for the service to get more memory, but that's okay. That was still more important to do that than to lose all those pictures. So again, you would just free up the space. So usually when you use the phone over a period of time, when you take a picture, automatically go up to the cloud. So you won't have to synchronize it all the time. Okay. So I find that to be a really, really helpful tool. There's also something, well, before I switch channels here, any questions on Google Photos that you might have? Probably the most important thing I teach today.
One thing that I like about it also is that it'll give you pictures that you took. Like what comes up is 4 years today, and then it'll show you all the pictures you took 4 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
so I like that feature as well.
Yeah. So just a little side note here. So when COVID started, of course, I had all this time. I thought, you know what? I've got all these boxes in my basement of all these videos and pictures, and what am I going to do with this? And it literally broke my back moving these things around because we've moved them so many times and we never looked at it. So I bought a couple of devices and I uploaded all my audio videos and my pictures and put them all into Google Photos. So we had Thanksgiving about a year ago. I said, hey guys, you want to watch my kids were here. And I said, hey, do you want to see your, the old videos? I don't want to see that stuff. You know how kids are. I don't want to see that stuff. So I said, well, check this out. So I took my phone and I had it sync. I Chromecast it from my phone to my smart TV. And so my TV, just like you see here on the computer screen that you're looking at, is they're looking at it. And I said, okay, let's check out some photos or some videos. Well, they start looking at it. Oh, that's kind of boring. So, you don't have to fast forward or rewind on a phone because it's digitized. You can just move your finger across the screen and it goes to the next spot. And we were able to watch the videos a lot faster and get to the spots that weren't so boring. But we could watch it on their phone. And I was able to share all these pictures and videos with the kids. So if anytime they want to pull it up, they can do it. And so you can share these videos and pictures with anybody, which makes it really, really nice.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits to it. So I have my Google search bar right here. If you don't know how to, this is called a widget. That's a funny name, but it really is. A widget is a shortcut to an app. And so how do you get to that? Well, I'm on my home screen. It's blank. I have a blank spot. Some of you might have to swipe over from right to left to get to a free part of your screen. But I'm going to hold my finger down. And when I do, the screen changes. I just held my finger down on the screen and I can change my wallpaper, my theme, but I want to get down to widgets. You see right here. And I'm going to click on widgets. And I'm going to search through my widgets. And I'm looking for, let's see, I think it's under Google. There it is right here, Google. And it tells me in this folder, there's 3 different widgets. So I'm going to tap on that. And the one I'm looking for is this one right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my finger down on that widget and drag it to where I want it to go. So I'm going to hold my finger down. And there's the widget. And I'm just going to park it right there. I don't need it that big. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And there it is. So these are shortcuts to different apps. Some of you may have a calendar or a weather app or a widget. And this is how you get to those things. And some of you may have pages and pages and pages of widgets, and some of you only may have a few. Okay. So I have my search bar, and now I've got 2 of them here, but I can search by typing things in. Maybe I want to type in the weather. Okay, I can type that in. I can just go over here and type in weather up here, and it gives me the weather. Okay, great. But what you can do, and the power of the Google Android device, if you're not using your voice, you're missing out on probably the biggest benefit to the Android phone, and that is to use your voice. And so if I just click on this microphone, what is the weather today in Tahiti? Okay, it tells me the weather that's going on in Tahiti today. Well, that's great. Wish I was there. But you can ask it anything, literally anything. You can say, take a picture. Tell me the weather. Tell me the sports score. Call, what are the hours for Walgreens today? You can ask it anything. And so instead of typing, use your voice. Click on the microphone And the more you use it, the better it gets. All
You know,
right?
I had
So if you're
never
not-
used that before, and I think in your last class, you had suggested this, and I put it on my screen, and I was out driving one day, and of course, driving, I couldn't use my phone. So I remembered this that was on the screen in my car. So I
Yeah.
tapped on it and told whoever the assistant what I needed, and I got help, you know, the directions or whatever I was asking.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I do teach a whole class, an Android class. It's the whole class is almost done on Android Assistant. Android Assistant, we don't have time to do that today, but you may want to look that up, maybe do a YouTube on it. But Android Assistant is actually what this is called. Some of you have Alexa in your house, or you use Cortana, or Apple has theirs called Siri. Google's is called Google Assistant. And you don't even have to do anything. You just click on the microphone. So if I want to click on the microphone and I'm going to say, take a picture. It goes into my camera app. I didn't have to touch anything. Okay. If I want to send a text message to somebody, I could hit this button and say, send a text message to Mary. And then it'll say, well, what do you want it to say? I'll be late by 15 minutes. I'll meet you outside the restaurant, or order me a cup of coffee. And then it'll say, it'll read it back to me and say, is this what you want to say? And I say, yes. And they'll say, send. And I say, send, and it sends it for me, and I never touch the phone. So play around with Google Assistant. But we were talking about the photos, and there's something here that looks like a camera, and that's called Google Lens. Does anybody know what Google Lens is? Lens.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah, I
seems
use
like it
that.
may have
It's
something to
handy.
do with
No.
directions.
No, it doesn't.
No. It's
It takes a
identification.
picture.
Actually, Google Lens is your search tool. And instead of typing something or saying something, it can use your camera to search something. So for instance, you're walking down the street one day and you see a beautiful flower or a plant or a tree and you say, I've never seen this. What is this? And you take a picture of it and you can do a Google search on it, and it will show you on your screen what this is. This could be what you're looking at. You might identify it. Or you're walking around your house, and I had a lady that worked at a thrift store, and she was in charge of all the high-end items such as silver and china and things like that. And she would get the stuff in and she would hit lens and take a picture of that, piece of china, and it would identify it and tell it what it is. So for instance, I have a remote control next to me, a TV remote. I'm going to click on lens here, and it comes up into the camera mode. You can see camera, and I'm going to line it up, and there it is. And I'm going to hit this, and you'll see some dots that'll come up. It's scanning it in. It says, is this what you're looking for? And I say, yeah, that's what I'm searching for. And it comes up and tells me it's a Vizio remote control and where you can buy it. Literally walk around your house or go outside and start using Lens. It's really, really helpful. Maybe you're having some friends or family over for dinner, and you're making something and you can't read the labels when you're at the grocery store because they're so small in the back of the package, and somebody's allergic to nuts. Well, they're really critical allergic to nuts. I know this from firsthand. And so what you could do is take a picture of the product. Maybe it's, whatever it is you're taking a picture of, and it will go to that website and show you on your phone what the ingredients are. Okay. Some of you may go to a restaurant and they have those little QR codes, those little square codes that look really strange. And they don't give you a menu anymore. They give you a QR code, or it's built into the table, or whatever the case may be. You can take a picture with Google Lens, and it will go out to the website and show you on your phone, here's the menu. And you just use Lens to do it. It's your internet search tool by using a camera. Does that make sense?
So it doesn't use storage on it doesn't save it. It doesn't use storage on your phone. It's just a
Nope.
temporary thing. And as soon as you get the answer, it's gone.
It's no different than you just typing in ESPN or what the weather is. It's just searching through the camera. It's not storing that information anywhere.
So it's not actually taking a picture of it. It's just using that picture for information to search.
Yep. And you're going to see Lens in more and more of Google's things because it is really a powerful tool.
Would you repeat
What-
how you can get a menu?
Well, so have you seen, you know what QR codes are? Those little square
Right,
things. that people-
I've used the QR code before.
Yeah. So you just take a picture, you go to Google Lens right here. Or it might be built into your phone. It says Lens, L-E-N-S. It's actually an app. And you take a picture of that QR code, you scan it in, and it will go search the internet and bring up that menu on your phone. So it's no different than
Oh,
typing
okay.
in, McDonald's and bringing up the menu. It will go do
It's like
search.
if you're
it
at,
for you.
if you're at a restaurant, there will be one of those QR codes on the door as you enter or on the table when you get there instead of a menu. Click that. and the menu
Absolutely.
comes up
Yep.
For that restaurant.
Yeah, the best example I ever heard about this is my son he's an engineer, he was an engineer student, and the professor would come in and put this their name, their email address on the whiteboard in front of the room, and it was usually this long name, and it was usually a professor from some other country, and and so all the students were trying to write down the thing, and he would just take a picture of it, and it would go right into that address. And so you never had to type anything. And so there's a lot of reasons to use Lens. It's really, really a powerful tool. Okay, so try it out. Try it around your house. Take pictures of things. Maybe it's like Mary, you got that beautiful chair you're sitting in. Take a picture of it. And you might go identify another one and see how much worth. It's really kind of
Thank
fun.
you.
Sure. All right, I'm going to switch my screen back here. So I never get through everything I want to get to in this class, that's for sure, because there's just way too much information on these phones. But again, Google Assistant is something you may want to check. Again, I showed you a caption on your phone. That's where you can have the closed captions, read the audio that you're hearing on your phone. That's something you can turn on and off on your phone. And usually when you adjust the volume up or down on the side of your phone, this little box, you'll see below the volume here, this little box will either have a slash through it or it won't. If it doesn't have the slash, you will see the caption. If you want the caption off, you can just tap that button and the caption will go away. So you can turn that on or off. So you might want to play around with it the next time you're on a phone call and see if it helps you. Okay, but it's very, very accurate. So we're running out of time here today. I'll stick around for a few minutes after class here today if anybody has any additional questions, but hopefully you learned at least one thing today, certainly how to back up pictures, use Lens, personalize the phone. So you've got your phone number, your name, things like that, how to get to settings. I don't even know all the things we learned today, but I always learn something new in this class, that's for sure, every time I teach it. So I think it's more for me, not for you. So, but anyway,